Welcome to one of the most listened to music news podcasts in the world, SGNP, with your host, Darien Southerland. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, artists, and entertainers about their faith, family, and careers. This is information you will not find anywhere else on radio, web, or in a magazine, but only firsthand on SGNP.
And we're a month away from the granddaddy of them all, the 2018 edition of the National Quartet Convention, the one J.D. Sumner started in Memphis, Tennessee years ago and continues now in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Today's special edition of the NQC on SGNP. You're going to hear stories and comments from some of gospel music's best, like my co-host Arthur Rice with the Kingdom Heirs, Matt Fouch with Legacy 5, Mark Bishop, Karen Peck, everybody's favorite, Eli Fortner with the McCameys, Josh Singletary with the Tribute Quartet, and Tim Lovelace, Arthur, musician and comedian extraordinaire. And finally, you'll hear a great interview Arthur and I did with Executive Vice President of the NQC, Clark Beasley. Plus, today we introduce you to our friend Jeff Turner with a special feature. And if you know Jeff and know what he's got, you're going to really enjoy it. If you don't, stick around because you'll want to know Jeff and learn some of his great stuff. It's the NQC on SGNP today. Stick around. It's a whole lot of fun.
My first memory of the National Quartet Convention, I've been with the Kingsmen about 8 months, I guess, something like that. So it was my first time. And our first night was, I think it was a Tuesday night, I believe. And we were supposed to go on at like 7:30, 7:45, something like that. And I was up the street at the motel getting ready. Well, I didn't realize that they could run ahead. So I came in the back door and I was kind of listening. It was in Nashville at the time. And you could kind of hear it down the hall who was singing. I thought, well, that sounds familiar. As I passed Brock Beer, he said, y'all are on. So I went dashing down that we were on their first song. They were running a few minutes early. So I was late for my first time at National Quartet Convention, running up on the stage at the end of the first song. So that was not a very good first time.
First memory, man. I didn't know of this genre until I was like 16. I had heard a group here or there, heard Kingsmen. They were the first group I heard. I didn't realize there was a whole genre of this. So I never had the chance to go until my first job with the Wilburns. I joined the Wilburns in 2001 and March of 2001. And everybody knows what happened the week of convention of 9/11. So my first memory of the National Quartet Convention was when 9/11 happened. I woke up Tuesday morning. Everybody knows where they were. I woke up Tuesday morning to the news, and man, that's how. Sad to say, but that's how I remember my first experience. It was an interesting week, to say the least.
I think the Bishop started going to the National Quartet Convention around 84 or 85. We had just started singing, and we'd never been to Quartet Convention. At that time, it was in Nashville. And they told us we had to set up a booth. They rented us a booth space in the exhibit hall. And we didn't know how to fix it up. And I think it was Dave Wilcox from the Eddie Crook Company said, well, you guys are from the country, kind of fix it up like the country. So we did. We brought bales of straw and old tires that we had painted and all kinds of just stuff. It looked like a set from Hee Haw is what our booth looked like, basically. And we painted everything in like these pastel colors.
That's funny.
But as the week went on, that straw made its way free, and it was all over the floor down.
My first memory would probably be playing with my friend Levi Bowman. He had PlayStation set up at his booth, and we would all go over there, all of us kids, groups, we would go over there and play while our families and stuff were on stage. So that would probably be my earliest memory.
A lot of great memories, a lot of great fun. Hey, coming back, got my buddy Arthur Rice and Clark Beasley right here on SGNP. You know, when we started this podcast, we never dreamed it would grow and things would happen like that. So we got us a sponsor of the show, MyPillow, one of the sponsors that have helped. And MyPillow's doing a great job. Not only did they send me a premium pillow, which we could try, I took it with me when we went to Philadelphia a few weeks ago in the truck. And Jonathan, my producer, was in the truck, and Jonathan sleeps at the drop of a hat. And Jonathan, you laid your head on the MyPillow and went to sleep, didn't you?
I did.
And did you wake up?
I did wake up.
When? When I slammed on the brakes to scare you.
That's right.
That's right. So that's the only thing that woke him up was me slamming on the brakes. You want a MyPillow? They got a great 4-pack offer right now. 50% off 2 premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows comes with it. A great offer. 4-pack offer. 50% off 2 premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Call them today. 1-800-338-2330. That's 1-800-338-2330. Use the code SGNP. Again, that's SGNP. Christmas is coming. Order your pillows now for folks. Support gospel music and support SGNP. Or as always, you can go to their website, mypillow.com, but always enter the code SGNP. Jonathan, did you sleep better on a MyPillow?
I certainly did.
Do you hope they send you one?
I would love one.
And welcome back to SGNP. Darien Southerland and my co-host Arthur Rice. Arthur, how you doing today, my friend?
Doing good. Great to be here.
Great to be here. Just another day in Sevierville, Tennessee. And you know, we're going to talk to one of your neighbors today, I believe, Arthur.
Yes. Real close neighbor, actually. We just live down the road from each other.
Y'all live down the road from each other?
Yeah.
Y'all's kids play ball or anything?
Yeah, but Arthur lives on the good side of the tracks, and I live on the bad side.
Clark Beasley coming up with us. And Clark, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good, Darren. Good to hear from you. Good to talk to you.
Yes, sir. It's been a while. I've we met a couple of years back when you were up in Louisville, and I look forward to reacquainting with you when I come up to Pigeon Forge this year and Sevierville area to the NQC, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it.
It is. We're looking forward to having you back.
Cool. Thank you, my friend. Hey, Clark, let's just get into it. Go ahead and give everybody the spiel, and I don't mean a spiel because that's the wrong words, but tell for the folks that have never been. I mean, because we have listeners in Ireland, we have listeners in California, we have listeners in Alaska, Hawaii, the Far East, wherever. Tell everybody around the world about the National Quartet Convention and what it's all about.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's gospel music's largest annual event. It draws about close to 40,000 people from 40 states and a half dozen foreign countries to a week-long festival. And that's what it is. It's really a fan festival where fans and supporters of gospel music can come to one place at one time at one event and see all of their favorite artists. The artists are there throughout the week. The focus of the event, the focal point of the event, are the evening concerts, and that's where we feature the best of gospel music. In addition to what we do in the evening, we also offer a separate package of programming during the day that'll feature a lot of music, but also feature prominent keynote speakers. Like this year, we've got Dr. David Jeremiah coming in and Dr. Robert Jeffress as our keynote speakers. We've got Dennis Swanberg, speakers such as that. Also some other music besides what you see during the evening. Like on Thursday, Gaither's going to do his Gaither Homecoming celebration in that homecoming format. And then another thing we're looking forward to, and then we did this for the first time last year, doing it again, and I know Arthur can speak to this, but the Southern Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame induction ceremony and benefit concert, that will be one of our daytime events as well. And events like the Singing News Fan Awards. So, Darren, really, for the gospel music fan, we offer programming starting at about 10 o'clock in the morning, going until about 11 o'clock at night.
No doubt, and anybody that's ever been will understand that. How has the growth and how has the quartet grown through the years, Clark? Well,
I tell you, I guess the best way to answer that is to talk about the most recent history in our move to Pigeon Forge. Of course, you were at the show when it was in Louisville. Our last event in Louisville was in 2013. And, boy, we had some great years in Louisville, 20 great years in Louisville. but felt like it was time to make the move to a vacation destination. And this area of the country, of course, it's one of the most prominent vacation destinations in the eastern half of the U.S. In addition to that, it's becoming something of a hub.
Oh, hold on just a second.
Our
Arthur.
style of music.
Arthur.
Yeah.
That's where you're supposed to say amen when he says it's a vacation destination.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, if we're going to preach National Quartet Convention today, Arthur, you sing gospel music here in Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, singing 3 times a day. I'm kidding. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Clark. I'm just playing. That's the great thing. That's the great thing about doing a podcast. You can interrupt, but go ahead.
Amen.
Yeah, well, there you go, Arthur. Yeah, I mean, it is a hub for our music now. So, it seemed like the right move to make, and it sure proved to be, because that first year we were here, it was the largest convention we had had in 13 years. It was the largest convention since 2001. So the move here has been very beneficial. Locating the convention in the hub of support and in a major vacation destination, it was a good partnership, and it's proven to be. And we're going to be here at least through 2021, and we'll see what the future holds. But yeah, Pigeon Forge has been a great move for us.
Arthur,
it's a great area too, because it's so family oriented. Nothing against the other venues, but it just, when you come here, the whole atmosphere of the whole community is really family oriented, and it fits our genre of people.
It sure does.
Let me ask you this right here, Clark. And a lot of and I'm asking this for the groups and for the different individuals who's involved. How does a group get involved with the National Quartet Convention?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're often asked how are our evening concerts decided, the artist lineups for those evening concerts, and that's done by our board of directors, and our board is made up of prominent industry people who just use their collective knowledge of demand of various artists in our marketplace, and specifically demand among our attendees. So they use their collective knowledge of who our people want to see and make those decisions. Now, in addition to our evening concerts, we do have a series of showcases that are basically entry-level showcases that give artists that aren't on the main stage during the evening the chance to plug in and interface with the event. And an artist each day is chosen to perform on our main stage that evening. So there are opportunities that we afford to those entry-level artists, in trying to advance their careers.
When we talked about the history of the Quartet Convention, it goes back to Memphis. It was in Birmingham. It was in Atlanta. It was in Nashville and Louisville, and different ones ran it from different years. And it's always been artist and industry driven. JD started it. The Blackwoods were involved. They got the Statesmen involved. Your father, Les Beasley, and happy birthday to him, by the way, 90 years young.
Thank you.
How's he doing, by the way? Everybody wants to know.
You know what? He's hanging in there. He's all fight, and he's planning on being at the convention this year. So yeah, he's doing pretty well. Thanks for asking.
Well, all fight, that's the Marine in him, so to speak. Wouldn't you agree?
That's it.
So anyway, thank you for your service, Mr.
A
Beasley.
great generation Marine, they don't know anything but fight. So.
That's right. And he's a legend in the business. And I know we didn't come here to talk about Les today, but a lot of people don't even know this. He created the Dove Awards that the Gospel Music Association as a whole uses to give to all kind of people that sing Christian music. So a great little info about your dad. But through the years with the National Quartet Convention, there's always been different things that had happened, or different things that have been brought in to make it exciting. Take yourself away as the executive vice president for just one moment. What memory, if somebody said to you, "Hey, Clark, you got 60 seconds. Give me your greatest NQC memory, personal, not business, because it's tough to separate yourself from business and personal, but you love the music, you love the genre, you were brought up in it. Personally, what's your favorite memory?"
That's almost like asking what your favorite song is, because the convention has been a hub for my life, for my entire life. I mean, the first one I attended, I was 1 year old.
Yeah.
And hadn't missed many since then. So many great moments. Boy, to narrow it down to one.
Well, give me a few then. Just give us a few.
I can tell you this, before I was in this capacity, way before I was in this capacity, and I've been in this capacity 25 years, but before I was in this capacity, I loved the convention. It was the highlight of my year. I looked forward to it all year. There's just such a value in all of our industry convening at one place at one time, and just that was JD's original vision. His inspiration for starting the convention were those old Church of God annual camp meetings that they had in the summer where all of the district churches would come together, and he thought, boy, wouldn't it be great to have something like that for gospel music? And all these years later, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's pretty special. It really is.
And all these years later, we celebrated our 60th anniversary last year. All these years later, it's amazing how true we are to that original vision. JD's original vision of bringing the industry together at one place at one time at one event, and then having fans and supporters come in for that event to see all their favorite artists. I mean, that's still what it is. His original vision is still very much intact,
Will we ever? And this is a question I'm asking, not to be controversial or anything like that, Clark, but just curious because, back in the day when they were in Memphis, Elvis would come in the backstage and he would be at the convention and watching the convention, and I think he even made an appearance once or twice from what history tells us. We know there's a lot of huge fans of gospel music in the secular world today. Will we ever see one of those moments like an Elvis come out on stage or anything like that in the future of gospel music, do you think?
Well, I mean, it's always possible. We had Ricky Skaggs and his group appear back in the late 90s. And, and that was a high moment.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. We had Sarah Palin as a keynote speaker back in 2010, which is at the height of her star power.
Yeah, I remember that.
When she made an appearance, So we all obviously want to stay very true to our format, and we always will stay true to our format. But, we always like to throw a surprise or two in there when we can, and who knows what the future may hold.
And you know what? That's what's great about the convention is it does stay true. Let me give you some of my favorite moments, and you comment on these because you were there, okay? The Spears' last appearance at the National Quartet Convention when all the artists gathered side by side and made a straight line and presented them with flowers. What was that moment like?
That moment exploded our schedule. I mean, we had to take our schedule and throw it in the trash because we had scheduled that for about 10, 12 minutes, and people just kept coming. Artists just kept coming to pay their tribute and love to the Spear family. And you know what? We didn't care that we blew up the schedule that night because it was just so appropriate. What that group had meant to gospel music over the years, they deserved that kind of send-off. So yeah, that was definitely a high moment in convention history there.
Glenn Payne's phone call.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that there's been a moment that exceeds that. That was in 1999 during the cathedral's last performance on the convention stage. And what's amazing about that is we had a convention in Red Deer earlier that year, and George was not able to be there because of illness. And Glenn was there carrying the load, and that was July. And then in August, he got sick, got diagnosed. September, when the convention was going on, he was undergoing treatment, and we lost him in October. So that's how quick he went, But, I mean, just that call-in moment with him talking to the guys on stage, and then, of course, him singing I Won't Have to Cross Jordan Alone, I don't know that there has ever been or will ever be a moment to surpass that.
The only moment I can think of that may surpass it is when the Susan Lucci of gospel music finally wins the Lead Singer of the Year award in Arthur Rice. Do you think that could possibly happen this year, Clark?
The Susan Lucci of gospel. I'm going to have to pray about that title.
For those of you who don't know
Arthur, you
Susan...
put that on your bio?
Yeah.
I may have to. Because I don't know how many people remember Susan Lucci now.
Susan Lucci from All My Children was up for Female Performer of the Year for the Soap Opera Awards for, 30 years, and she never won. Arthur's been up for Lead Singer of the Year for how many years, Arthur?
I don't know. Lost.
Lost track. So anyway, but hey, I'm messing.
I'll tell you what. No matter who wins, not a better one has ever stepped on any stage. I can tell you that.
That's true. That's true. Well, Clark, we appreciate your time. We appreciate your insight. We look forward to coming to Pigeon Forge ourselves this fall and visiting with you and sitting down and talking with you again. And thank you for your time this afternoon, my friend. Okay.
Hey, man, it's been fun. Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you, Arthur.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Y'all be good. Arthur, another great moment that I didn't bring up to Clark, and I don't think the Quartet Convention even knew this was going to happen. But, sometimes when you're an elder statesman, you can kind of do what you want to. And if there was ever an elder statesman of the National Quartet Convention, it was the gentleman who started it all in J.D. Sumner. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Do you recall the year J.D. got on stage with the Stamps? This may have been his last year or one of his last years. And it was in Louisville. And he said, folks, we want to do something special tonight. And we want to welcome back to the stage. And he used these words, the prodigal son of gospel music, Michael English. And Michael was actually sitting in the crowd and walked down the stairs and got on stage and sang. I think he sang "Bowed on My Knees" and cried holy, and the crowd went crazy. Do you remember that night?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty special. I appreciated what JD did for that. So many times, even not just music, but in our churches and everything. We're the world's Christians are the world's worst at shooting our own people, and we're supposed to encourage each other and lift each other up. Of course, Michael has always loved our music, has always been a part of our music, has always tried to include part of our music in his ministry and in what he does, and to show the people that that we loved him. We all mess up, and we all do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And but I'm so glad that God forgives us, and we're supposed to forgive each other for that. And that was it really was a special moment.
One thing that I took from talking to Clark, and I appreciate about Clark, and if I had one adjective to describe him as the executive director of the National Quartet Convention, it would be balance. He's got to maintain incredible balance because it is run by a board of directors. It is a for-profit corporation, but yet by name alone, it does involve the whole industry, so to speak. It has become an industry event and overall, but he's got to have incredible balance because he's dealing with, you're dealing with everything from a group that sounds, that performs like, country artists like the Crab Family to a group that's been there for generations, and the Chuckwagon Gang. You never know what type of group it's coming on stage, and you got to have incredible balance to know what to bring. And it's easy to criticize. It is very easy to criticize, but without having that balance and that ability, because at the end of the day, it's got to make money to keep going. And
absolutely.
Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, it's a monumental task to try to put that together. It really is. To try to put a program together each night that keeps people in the seats, that try to, to try to feature so many different artists that people want to see, and it really is a huge task. And my hat's off to them for putting that together. I know, just the past few years, just trying to put the program together for the SGMA for the induction ceremony. Phil and I start. Phil Brower and I start on that, early, trying to, make sure that the program is flows good, that it works good, that people, something that people enjoy, and get the artist on there and have the scheduling of it is a monumental task. I'm telling you, Phil Brower does an incredible job putting that together. My hat's off to him. I don't know that I could do it. It's really tough.
Arthur, have you ever been with a group that passed the light time, so to speak, when the red light came on? I mean, your time was up on stage, but y'all just kept on singing. Have you ever been up there when that happened?
A couple of times, and everybody runs really close. That's the thing.
And for those, and let me stop because I just told some inside information and explain the light situation for the groups to the folks out there listening, so they'll understand what I'm talking about.
Well, the way that kind of works is, to have a schedule to make sure that we stay on time. Everybody has an allotted amount of time to sing and perform, and you can pick what you want to do to fit in that time period. And there's a clock on stage that helps us to stay right on time, because if you don't, you think, well, if one group runs over, or if you run over a minute or two, over the night's period, you're looking at 30 minutes to an hour if everybody ran over just a minute or two. And it's because it just adds to the program. And that was one of the hardest things to do, because, about 11 o'clock, man, people are getting tired. And so, they want to wrap it up. They want to go back to the motel because they've got a busy day tomorrow scheduled.
That's right.
They start early in the morning with chapel service, and it's an all-day event. For a lot of people, and so to really stay on time, you have to stay, as close as you can to your allotted time. And I've been there a few times when it's went over, and sometimes a couple of times it was like, well, I don't know that it was worth that, but but a couple of times that it was, and. The cathedral thing with Glenn, that time schedule kind of ran over, and it ran us a little bit longer in a night. But you know what? It was worth it. And so you kind of have to pick and choose. What do you think is worth it? And so I like it because it really helps you stay on schedule.
If we talk to enough people. Okay, if we talk to enough people, we could probably find folks that love Memphis. We could find folks that love Nashville. This is within the industry and outside the industry. We could find folks that love Louisville. We can find folks that love Pigeon Forge, because they all have brought something unique. I've been to two of the venues. I was at Nashville twice. I was more than twice. I was at Nashville when the stage was at the end of the arena. Then I was at Nashville when the stage went to the center. I was in Louisville a lot. This is the first year I'm going to Pigeon Forge. What should I have to look forward to in Pigeon Forge this year?
The nice thing about Pigeon Forge is...
Other than you sleep in your own bed every night, but go ahead.
Well, that's pretty nice too. Yeah. But, the real nice thing, and I tell people about that, is it's really centrally located to just about anything that you want to do. And one of the really cool things about it is Pigeon Forge has an incredible trolley system that runs like a well-oiled machine, and you can actually pull into your motel, park your car, and never get back in your car if you don't want to. You can ride that trolley all over town, anywhere you want to go, and it'll deliver you right to the front door of the convention and from your motel. And that whole thing is incredible. That was always one of the hardest things about the other town, Nashville and Louisville, is if you wanted to go somewhere, you were kind of dependent upon yourself to get wherever you wanted to go. And you had to hunt it out, and you had to find somewhere. And the nice thing about Pigeon Forge, man, is just, and then we've got restaurants and motels just side by side, and it's easy to get to wherever you want to go and whatever you want to do.
Let me ask you this from a performer standpoint again, and I'm going back in history here. I saw you at the end cap stage in Nashville. Then I saw you on the round in Nashville. Did y'all have to learn how to perform in the round, so to speak? Is it different performing in the round like it was in Nashville than it is on an end cap stage? And the first time you did it, was you kind of uncomfortable?
You know, it really is, and I still struggle with that a little bit. You know, it kind of is what it is, but I think, you know, we kind of have to adjust to that, and I struggle with it, trying to figure out, okay, who have I sung more to, which side of the stage have I sung more to, and try to keep it even, because, you know, most of the time if you're facing somebody, you got your back to somebody else, so. You got to, you know, kind of take the screens help that a lot, you know, the big screens, and they added more last year, and I think they've added more this year. So that helps tremendously for the folks that set back a little bit further. But, you know, the nice thing about Pigeon Forge, you know, you never, even the worst seat in the house, you're never more than 100 feet away from the stage. Yeah. So we've never had that before. Right. So even the back seats are good, and you have those huge screens in front of you. I mean, it's you know, when you can't, you know, somebody's facing the other way, the camera shots have got them, you know, coming right at you. So it's not as bad for me there, I think, as it was Louisville, simply because of this, you know, it was so huge. It was such a huge auditorium. Yeah. It was kind of hard to pick which way you wanted to stand, which one you wanted to sing.
Last question, and we'll get out of here. I'm the kind of guy that when he goes to the circus, I kind of watch what's going on behind the scenes to see, you know, what's going on behind the curtain. Or I'll notice individuals or people, not necessarily. And you may not have noticed this. You may know who exactly I'm talking about. But in Nashville and in Louisville, there was a little old lady who sat on the front row. Okay? Mm-hmm. You know who I'm talking about by chance?
Yes.
What was that lady's name?
I can't think of her name. I know who you're talking about, and I can't think. She just left me when you asked me. But, you know, a mind is a terrible thing. Yeah. But
you know what? She was almost like, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, she was like a mascot. She could get the crowd going.
Oh, man, yeah.
If that hand went up and that handkerchief went up, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure she was a little holiness lady from somewhere that is probably in heaven today, and every time she sees the NQC, the Lord probably, maybe, I'm just being real fictitious here, parts the clouds a little bit and lets her enjoy. And that's what NQC is, a little heaven on earth. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. She enjoyed it, and you're right. She stirred up the crowd, that's for sure. All right. But you know what you mentioned about the circus and comparing it to everything that goes around the stage. And one of the funny, I went to Ringler Brothers one year, and all I could get was front row seats. And I thought, oh, this is going to be horrible. I'm not going to be able to see anything. I'm telling you, man. I watched that crew work that whole night. I didn't even see the circus. I watched that. That was so entertaining to watch those guys work so hard. And that's kind of the way a lot of people don't see the background of all the workers that are involved that work so many hard hours getting that thing to run like a machine. I mean, and it's incredible. The crew does such an incredible job, and it's a thankless job, but boy, we couldn't do it without them.
And it's what I'm gonna go back and say about Clark. The word balance. He can't make everybody happy, but the only person that really makes sure that he makes sure happy is the fans, and he makes the fans happy. And exactly. That's what it amounts to, because in the end, it's like we always say, it's all about the gospel. Hey, Arthur, let's take a break right now. Let's go to our new feature with Jeff Turner, hear a little bit of fun, and we'll be back to talk more about the National Quartet Convention and some great events right here on SGNP.
Toccoa Falls College in Toccoa Falls, Georgia. Since 1907, TFC glorifying God through seeking and developing leaders who will impact the world for Jesus Christ. More information on TFC, call 706-886-7299 or visit them online at tfc.edu. That's tfc.edu.
This is Josh Singletary with Tribute Quartet, and you're listening to SGNP.
Now, here's our announcer.
And that's the Statesman's leader.
What's that name?
Hobie Lister.
And like crisper, flakier cracker boys, what's that name?
Premium Saltine.
Ah, you said it, so let's sing it now.
They're better baked and better wrapped. Premium Saltine. Nabisco's crackers in the inner sealed pack. Premium Saltine.
And welcome back to SGNP, Darien Southerland. Before I get back with Arthur, let's go on up to St. Louis, Missouri way, one of the biggest Cardinal fans I know out there. He's also our gospel music historian, and if you've seen his Facebook site, Southern Gospel Memories and Pictures, boy oh boy, you'll see a lot of good fun stuff and a lot of good pictures. My friend Jeff Turner. Jeff, how you doing, my friend?
Great, Darren. Good to be with you.
Good to be here, buddy. Hey, we're talking about the National Quartet Convention today, and was talking to you yesterday and a little bit about this, and you were explaining a little bit of the history that you knew about the National Quartet Convention. Now, we're not going to ask for the Encyclopedia Britannica version, but just kind of give us a little Wikipedia version if you can.
Well, the first Quartet Convention was in 1957 in Memphis, Tennessee. The concept of the Quartet Convention was an idea of J.D. Sumner, and it was an idea of his in the early 50s, even before he joined the Blackwood Brothers. He took the idea to Ace Richmond, who was the owner of the Sunshine Boys at the time, the group J.D. was singing with, and Ace had no interest in it, so he took it to Wally Fowler, who was the innovator of the all-night sing, and Wally turned him down too. He didn't think much of the idea. So when J.D. joined the Blackwood Brothers, he pitched the idea to James, and after contemplation, James decided to go ahead with the idea.
Yeah.
And Quartet Convention was started in 1957 in Memphis.
We went from Memphis, then they did some in Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken, brought it to Atlanta, and then Nashville, and some went back to Memphis, I think, and finally rested there, don't you think?
Yeah, in 1960 it was in Atlanta, and then they moved it back to Memphis in 1961, and it was there until 1972. They moved it to Nashville.
Being an Atlanta guy, I'm wondering if it was at the Atlanta City Auditorium. I bet it was. I can remember going to the shrine. What's that?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's a place where they had the all-night gospel sings back in the day. So anyway, you told me earlier when we were talking, the first time you ever went to the National Quartet Convention was 1988. Is that correct? Was that was in Nashville, was it not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I was like a kid in a candy shop.
Was the stage at the end of the building, or was it in the round then? Do you recall?
It was at the end.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I think around 90, 92, they might have moved to the center.
Yeah. The thing I remember about it being in the center in Nashville, and I'm trying to remember the song now, but the Nealons closed the program out. It was on a Friday or a Saturday night. I think it was on a Friday night. And they sang what their song about America, I forget what it was. And they had went and taped flags under everybody's seat in the Nashville Coliseum. And they asked everybody, were you there that night? And they told you get the flag out, and folks started waving the flag in the air.
Yeah, wasn't it, We've Got to Get America Back to God?
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. But, we talk about the old-time conventions in Memphis, and I enjoy seeing the pictures and the pictures you put there on Facebook of so many of the old groups and things of that nature. But Elvis showed up at the Quartet Convention back in Memphis in the day, did he not?
He did, and I have a picture of that with him on stage there in Memphis.
Maybe we'll post that on your Facebook site, and folks can go to Southern. Tell them what Facebook site they can go to check out all your stuff, Jeff. And when we release this show this Friday, put that out there and let everybody see that picture. That'd be kind of cool.
The website is, on Facebook site is Southern Gospel Memories and Pictures. And then a couple weeks ago, we just started a new video site, Southern Gospel Memories and Videos. So if you want to see pictures, you can go to one. If you want to see videos, you can go to the other. And both are doing very well.
Well, buddy, I'm glad you're on our team now with SGNP. And folks, let me say this. One of the first people when we started SGNP out in April that reached out to us was Jeff, and he and I talked on the phone back then. And I appreciate your friendship and look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Absolutely, Darren.
For a snack. Premium Saltine. Nabisco's crackers in the inner sealed pack. premium salty.
Arthur, we had some great guests on the show today, from Mark Bishop, Tim Lovelace, Karen Peck, Josh Singletary, Eli Fortner, Matt Fouch, and yourself. And we posed 3 questions. You heard one at the beginning of the show. It's our first memory of the National Quartet Convention. Number 2, listen to this question here. It's your favorite memory of the National Quartet Convention. Here's some great responses here.
Well, you know, as far as favorite memories of NQC, that could be a 12-hour interview right there. I have so many great memories. But I'll just choose one and talk about it. But one of memories I was thinking about this morning was one year, Clark Beasley, the executive director of the Quartet Convention, I would do a jam session every year. Actually, when Anthony and I first started it, we did it together the very first year, and that was down in Nashville. And we had pianos and different pickers. And then the next year, Anthony and I decided to split it up. And although piano is my main instrument, since I played instruments with the Florida Boys, they considered me more of an instrumentalist. So Anthony took the piano side, and I took the picking side. We called it the jam session, and did that for many years. And then after we were up in Louisville, one time Clark contacted me, and we did it a couple of years in a row where they were doing like an all-star quartet. So I would get with the quartet and arrange a song or two, and we would open the first night of NQC. We would open it with the all-star quartet. Well, this one of the years, we were meeting at a certain time in a back room, and I'm trying to remember if the piano was locked up and they had to get a key to unlock it, or if they just didn't have the piano in there. I'm not sure. But whatever time we were meeting, say 2 in the afternoon, I'm just guessing a time here, but we're all meeting there. It was me and the 4 guys, and the guys consisted of, and it was a great quartet. The guys consisted of Danny Funderburk on tenor, which at that time he was with, he had left the Cathedrals, and he was with Perfect Heart. I believe that song they had out was Somebody Touched the Lord. They had a song that was up for Song of the Year and possibly won. I'm not sure about that. But Danny on tenor, and what a great tenor. And then we had Ivan Parker on lead, and he was doing solo work at that time and doing a lot with the Gaither videos. Then baritone, the one and only Squire Parson, and boy, he fit that spot smooth as silk. And Squire is such a great writer. And bass, of course, the one and only George Yance. And since they were trying to unlock the piano or either bring a piano in there, we sat there for a long time. You know, those things can happen. And during that time, just the 4 of them, we did some different songs. And it was just a private moment that was really sweet for me to pick out a song. But then George started telling jokes and stories, and the rest of us sat there and cried for the longest time. He could just tell one joke and not even take a breath and go into the next one.
My favorite memory was when 4 Days Late won Song of the Year. And it would be 2001. And it had just happened 2 days after 9/11 happened. And I just felt like that was just such a memorable time for us because everybody was devastated the whole week. But then 4 days late, to stand on the stage and sing the song 4 days late at the awards ceremony, and then for it to win Song of the Year, I just felt like that was just a very pivotal moment in my mind.
Wow, I guess, each convention is so, it's the same, but it's different every year. You have so many different memories of convention. One of my favorites, I guess, was the year the Cathedrals retired, and it was just such a special event. And then, the night that they called Glenn Payne when he was in the hospital, and he sang "I Won't Have to Cross Jordan Alone." What a special time that we had there that night, and it was that was a great memory one of my favorite memories, I think.
Favorite memory would be a lot. It would probably be just mostly whenever I'm hanging out with all my friends and all of them, which we'll find a bus or something, or go out and eat or something, and just all hang out, have a big time amongst all of ourselves, because we all grew up with each other. So that's probably my favorite memories.
Hey, this is Darren. Just got through with our favorite memory question. Arthur's not in the room right now, and Arthur wouldn't answer this question anyway, would he, Jonathan? Because he's too much of a gentleman. I'm talking to our producer, Jonathan, on the other side of the room. But I asked the young guys, and of course I had to ask Karen, what was the most awkward, funny fan moment at the NQC? Now, here's the trick. When you hear this question, every one of you that's listening to this show, go up to Josh and ask him the same thing this year for me. All righty? Listen to these answers.
The most awkward, one of the ones always is, because Callie and I, my wife and I have been together for a long time. We dated about 8 years, and then we got married. And we've now been married about 5 years. December will be 5 years. And and so they're always asking me, when you going to get your baby? When you going to... And whenever we're ready. So that one's always, that's like an every year event for me. It's an every year event.
Well, I think I'm going to go way back on this. Back when we used to sing a lot with a group called Heaven Bound. Everybody remembers Heaven Bound. Canaan Land is just in sight. And we were singing, this was in Nashville, I think, when we were singing, when the Quartet convention was down that way. And we were always goofing off with Heaven Bound, and they had somehow appropriated a policeman, a cop, to come arrest me at my booth. And this guy was playing it up. I mean, he was not letting on at all. He came to the booth, and everybody around was starting to get worried. And I was trying to sell, I think at that time it was albums and cassettes, to somebody at the booth. And this guy came around and said, "Are you Mr. Mark Bishop?" I said, "Yeah." And he started reading Miranda rights, and then he put me in handcuffs and led me away. Well, as they were leading us away, or leading me away from the booth, then I saw all the guys from Heaven Bound, Ken Eubanks and Lawrence and all the gang over there just dying, laughing, pointing. And they took me to their booth and arrested me for impersonating a gospel singer, is what it ended up being. But a little bit later, we got Heaven Bound back. We were singing with them at a high school down in North Carolina, and while they were in singing, we took a screwdriver and took the headlights out of their bus and left them hanging off the front of the bus. So as we pulled out of the parking lot that night, they turned on their bus, and their headlights were pointed straight down at the ground because they were just hanging on wires.
The Singing News had come over to my booth, and they were giving us a #1 plaque. We had a song that had gone to #1. They were presenting us with the plaque. We were taking pictures. There was a man that came by, and we had just finished singing. Had been performing on stage. He came to the table, and while the Singing News was there presenting us with this plaque, he came by and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Karen," he said, "you sang a lot better tonight." He said, "I'm telling you," he said, "last time I heard you and every other time I've heard you, you sound like a squawking chicken." And he started demonstrating it, like going around, like walking around clucking like a chicken. And when he did, everybody looked at him like, "Have you lost your mind?" But he did, and I looked at him and I said, "Well, usually I'm never at a loss of words," but I was embarrassed because the Singing News were standing there and people were standing around there as they were presenting us with the award. And so he did. He said, "Usually you sound like a squawking chicken." He said, "But you sounded pretty good tonight." And I said, I don't really know how to take that. And so I said, "I don't know, is that a thank you? Should I say thank you or whatever?" But it was like, oh my goodness. And so then after he left, it was like, if this is going to happen to anybody, it's going to happen to me.
Okay, so there was this guy that, and I can't really say it's funny, but it's definitely awkward for sure. There's this guy that we were all gathering around the stage for the Singing News Fan Awards, and sold out. This was back when I was with Sold Out. All these NQC memories are with Sold Out. I want to say I have some great memories as well with Legacy 5 at NQC, but Sold Out was up for Horizon Group of the Year, I think it was. And we were, walking down to get our seats, and there was a guy sitting in our seat. And we were like, hey man, you can't sit here. You've got to move. And he was like, no, God told me I'm going to be on that stage. I'm sitting in this seat. And we were like, dude, we're not trying to be mean, but you can't stay in this seat. You've got to go sit in the seat you paid for. These are seats that are reserved for the artists that are nominated for the fan awards. And he kept repeating that same thing over and over again, and he would not move. So finally, what I didn't know at that time was that guy had gone up on stage when Legacy 5 had been singing like the night before or a couple days before. He had gone up on stage. Frank Siemens was with Legacy 5 at that time, and he saw him sitting down there. Frank went over there and told him, you're going to move or these guys are going to drag you out of here. And the guy would not move. So Frank physically lifted him up, not carry physically, but arm in arm, took him up, walked him up the stairs, handed him to one of the ushers and said, this man is not to come back into this arena. If I see him, I'm holding you personally responsible. And the guy didn't come back in. So that was an extremely awkward moment. And some of that story, the Frank part of that story, I didn't know that until I saw Frank, talking to him, but I didn't know the full extent of the end of that story until I joined Legacy 5, and they were like, oh yeah, Frank went and got that guy, and they knew the rest of it. But man, that was a very unique story and very awkward as well.
I do remember one time this guy, he was going to interview me, and he got with I was young, it's still Louisville, and I was running around everywhere, and he got with my family or something, and they set it all up, and I just showed up, and they put a mic on me and whatever, and he asked me the first question, and I gave him an answer, and I don't talk much, I just kind of give everybody, I try to talk better, but I'm more or less one answer. Back then, I was really one-word answer, and I said something, he did the first question, and I said, yeah, man, sure did, and that's all I said. Second question came around, and I said something right along the same lines, and then eventually he was like, well, thank God for video and editing, thank you, and he left. I was like, okay then.
Arthur, I appreciate it, my man. One question for you. What's wrong with living right anyway?
Not a single thing.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, this is Tim Newton with SGNP, Southern Gospel News Podcast. We would love to have your group uploaded on our concert calendar page. Just simply email me at tnewton@bgadgroup.com to have all your concert and events promoted on our concert calendar page. This will be a huge boost in promoting your concerts and special events. Don't wait. Email me now at tnewton@bgadgroup.com and take advantage of this great opportunity. And hey, remember, what's wrong with living right anyway?
Paul Belcher Concerts Battle of Songs returns to the Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Saturday, November 10th, 6:30 p.m. with the Hoppers. The Triumphant Quartet. Saved by grace. I've been saved by grace. The Guardians. Somebody prays and heaven pays attention. And the Jordan Family Band. My God is faithful. Tickets on sale now. Call 800-745-3000 or at the Memorial Auditorium box office. The Hoppers, the Triumphant Quartet, the Guardians, and the Jordan Family Band. Saturday, November 10th, 6:30 p.m. at the Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Get more details now at paulbelcherconcerts.com.
Gospel music's largest annual event, the National Quartet Convention, is returning to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. See the Hoppers, Greater Vision, the Mark Trammell Quartet, Jim Brady Trio, Triumphant, Kingdom Heirs, Ernie Hassan Signature Sound, the Isaacs, Jason Kraft, the Gaither Vocal Band, and many more of your favorites all in one amazing week, all in one amazing place, the LeConte Convention Center in Pigeon Forge. Plus showcases including the Singing News Fan Awards, Gaither Homecoming Celebration, and Gerald Wolf's Hymn Sing. And speakers Dr. Robert Jeffrey Cephas and Dr. David Jeremiah, the National Quartet Convention. See the entire schedule, get travel info including vacation packages and hotel information, and get your seats now at nqconline.com. That's nqconline.com. Or call 1-800-846-8499. That's 1-800-846-8499 for the National Quartet Convention 2018 at the LeConte Center in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, September 23rd through 29th. nqconline.com.
SGNP is excited you chose to listen today. If you'd kindly leave a remark and rating in the podcast remarks section, we surely would appreciate it. Please share with a friend or family member. Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and our new website, southerngospelnewspodcast.com. And remember the Kia Summer Nights concert series, all 100% free, coming to a town near you. For more information on the concert series or to advertise your products, services, concert event, or new project on SGNP and reach a 100% guaranteed number of people in your area, call Tim Newton at 770-874-3200 or email him today, tnewton@bgadgroup.com. Let us geo-target our ads for you, something radio nor magazine can do.